Every leader has one of four communication styles. Blue leaders leave people feeling ignorant. Red leaders leave people feeling fear. Pink leaders leave people feeling confused. And green leaders leave people feeling clarity. The green leaders are the people that get shit done. In this video, you'll learn your communication style in 3 simple shifts so that you could lead anyone. And this really works. I've helped over 400 founders and CEOs break growth plateaus, build strong teams, and love their company again just by becoming green leaders. But it all starts in knowing what color you are. Because let's be honest, we all, me, myself included, tend to lean towards one specific communication style. Now, as you're watching this video, I want you to think about what color you're at right this very moment, but from the lens of what does your team think you are as far as communication style? All right, first we have blue leaders. Blue leaders are passive leaders. Now, when you're passive, the first thing you do is you avoid conflict. This looks a little better for a passive leader. The next thing is you lack clarity. Also, what happens inside of your business? You lack trust. When you're passive, you don't really say things, declarations. People really don't believe in your vision because you're not really sold on it. That's what passive leaders do. When you're giving instructions to people, it's a kind of, sort of, maybe, could you, would you. It lacks clarity. It lacks clear expectations. It just creates distrust and problems throughout your organization. Let me give you an example. It would be great if you like and subscribe to this video, but only if you want to. Some things like that are going on inside of your organization. You might be avoiding a hard conversation you need to have with somebody. You might not be holding people accountable, but maybe more than likely it's with one person you don't want to rock the boat with. But the underlining thing here is fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of someone getting mad at you, fear of not being liked. And this is a real big problem with leaders because if you want to be liked, you will be passive and you will never be a great leader. Now listen, no shame, no shade, nothing like that. If you're a blue leader, you're feeling a little passive, you need to work up the words, you need to work up the courage on how to get better at doing this so that you could effectively lead your team, not putting extra work on yourself and actually get what you want out of your company. Just click the link below. Let's schedule a call. I'd love to help you do this. I've done this so many times, taking people from passive to where we're going. It really makes a big difference in your business and makes a big difference with yourself. All right, red leaders. I'm going to put an angry face and a sad one because angry leaders are aggressive leaders. They're judgmental. They rule by fear, or my used to be the best one, rule by shame. They're ultra direct, but sometimes they step over the line. When I was this type of leader, someone would do something wrong inside of my business. They would literally be wrong. We'd sit down for the meeting. By the time the meeting was over, I'll give you a guess who was wrong. Me. Because I would be aggressive. I would rule by fear. I would rule by shame and judgment. And I didn't know any better at the time because that's how I grew up. I grew up where if you made a mistake, there was a bunch of people around me ready to shame me into being better. And I just thought that was the way to be better. And so some of you out there that are hardcore, a little aggressive like I was, maybe you're also impatient. And the issue with this is you wind up building an army of yes men and yes women. People that only work for you out of fear. People that don't really love your company. People that don't really love the culture. It's all built on fear. And I don't think this is the way you want to really build a company that's going to be great, that's going to be sustainable and stand the test of time. And here's an example of what a red leader sounds like.
God damn it, hit that like button, hit that motherfucking subscribe button, and you better comment below or I will get you.
It's too easy for me. Aggression sometimes could feel like strength, but what it's doing is bleeding creativity and excitement inside of your business. People are going to be walking on eggshells every time you come in the business. I know what this feels like. And let me tell you, it might stroke your ego, but it will not be putting money inside of your pocket. All right, the next leader is the pink leader. Now, the pink leader is the passive aggressive leader. Now, for me personally, this is the toughest one to deal with. I don't know about you guys out there, but this is the hardest one because in a way, they're passive and aggressive, right? So they avoid direct confrontation, but they're also signaling to you that something is wrong. They don't go right out there and say it, but they kind of needle at you and things like that. Maybe say, well, one-liner here or one-liner there to kind of chop you down, kind of make people feel a little stupid. This is passive aggressive. And what passive aggressive ultimately does is it creates a tension. I'm sure somebody out there has heard someone be passive aggressive and say little comments to them like that. How does that make you feel? gets under your nerves, probably gets you feeling really angry, maybe feeling dumb or shame or something like that. But passive aggressive is very common when you are going too fast in your business and you're judging people for what they're doing. And a passive aggressive leader will look like this. I guess you could hit the like and subscribe button and comment below, but don't worry, it's totally fine if you scroll past. You see that? Nothing very clear on what they want. It's fine if you like and subscribe. It's fine if you just scroll past. See, it's not really great. And what that does is causes a lot of confusion inside of your team. No one really knows what's going on. No one knows what you really want. They're just sitting there guessing because you're effectively playing two different communication styles. It's all about acknowledging and accepting where you are, because what I'm about to give you is the direction that you really need to go to in your leadership communication style to build clarity and confidence in your team, and also for you to build some executive presence as a founder and CEO. All right, here we go. My favorite, the green leader. Big smiley face on this one. The last communication style, the one you really want inside of your business, is direct. Direct is the bullseye in your communication. This is what really helps people have clarity around exactly what you want. Have you ever set expectations with somebody and it didn't work out? That was probably because you did it passive aggressively, or aggressive. They're good with confrontation. They are all about it because it's not emotional. It's direct and to the point. It's clear. It creates trust. It's the absolute best way to communicate in your business, with yourself, in your home, with your family, everywhere, because it's clear, concise, and to the point. There's no fluff, no fat. It's like a lean body, which all of us really want deep down anyways. Also too, it creates psychological safety. I know that's a little buzzword going on in business and everything like that, but it helps people feel safe. They know where they stand with you. They know what they want from you, and that makes people feel good. People can't work inside of your business if they're feeling fear, distrust, or ambiguity. And here's an example of what a green leader would look like. If this video helped you see your business differently, hit the like and subscribe button below so that you could see the next one. That way, we could even go deeper on your business. Clear, concise, to the point, no misdirection, exactly what you wanted to do, exactly what was going on. That's what green is all about. Direct communication. And a lot of people might think direct is harsh, but in reality, it's the most respectful and kind way to communicate with yourself, with your team, and even at home. No joke. Speaking direct means you're coming correct. All right, so now let's play out a real business scenario with each color in action. Let's pretend your operations manager missed a big deadline and delayed something for your client. Hey, I know things have been busy lately. I'm sure that you tried your best to hit the deadline. Maybe we could hit the deadline on the next time. This is unacceptable. You keep missing deadlines and making us look bad. If you keep this up, I'm gonna find someone who could do your job instead. Wow. I guess deadlines are like suggestions around here. Anyways, I'll go explain to the customer why we can't deliver on what we promise. The project delay caused a ripple effect for our client and our team. Let's sit down and strategize about what happened and possibly see if we need any systems or structure to ensure that we don't miss deadlines moving forward. This is simply a pattern that we cannot repeat. If you think you know your color, comment below. I'd love to know what it is. But knowing what color leader you are is only half the battle. There's 3 simple shifts that you could be making today to become a more effective green leader. But before we get into that, let me tell you a quick story. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 years old. I've made just about every mistake you could possibly make inside of your business. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s till I learned these language concepts to become a better leader. It's not written in a lot of books. There's not things like this to help about in your communication. And if it's time for you to step up as a leader, communicate better so that you could be more effective and build a stronger organization, book a call with me below. I'd love to talk with you about this. This is one of my biggest passions in helping leaders is better communication, because your ability to lead comes down to your ability to communicate. Shift number 1 is negations to affirmations. You might be asking yourself, Ange, what the hell is a negation? Negation is a word that focuses on what you do not want. Here's a prime example. Don't look at the like button. What did you do? You looked at the like button, right? And so when we use words like that, we focus on that stuff anyways. Please show up on time. That's the big difference between a negation and affirmation. You're stating affirmatively what you want. Negations focus on what you do not want. This is really important when you're trying to give directions and set clear expectations with people on your team. Shift number 2 is soft talk to solid talk. Soft talk is anything that's kinda, maybe, sorta, coulda, woulda, should ya, any of those words, right? things that create ambiguity, nothing very clear. Hey, could you maybe get that project done by Friday? Could you maybe? What does that really mean? And then they don't get that project done on Friday, and then what happens? You're pissed off and mad at them. But whose fault is it? Yours, because you maybe, sorta, woulda, coulda. You didn't give them clear expectations. Now, solid talk is, we need this project handed in by Friday at 12 p.m. Clear, direct, and to the point. No joke, out of all these language shifts, soft talk to solid talk will be the biggest unlock inside of your leadership. All right, and the last shift is projections to reflections. Now, a projection is when you're assigning responsibility and power to someone or someone else. This may not be directly in a leadership scenario, but this will really unlock your mindset of how you think and empower you to be better. Let me give you an example. Jimmy's driving me crazy. One of your employees, right? Any of that stuff, driving me crazy. So I'm projecting my power. Jimmy's driving me crazy. If I'm saying something like that, how can I ever fix the scenario? I'm just waiting on Jimmy to change, right? When you take a projection and you make it a reflection, you change that around. Jimmy's not driving you crazy. You know who is? Me. I'm driving me crazy. Because now I have a chance to look at myself in the mirror and take responsibility for things and be better. This is what that passive aggressive looks like when you're projecting things on people and not taking ownership yourself. Nobody wants to work for a victim. As I mentioned, this is really a lot more internal about yourself, how you think and how you act. And we just can't skip over the fact that your language needs to be in good with other people, but more importantly with yourself as a leader. Because as I mentioned, no one wants to work for a little victim, somebody that doesn't take responsibility and ownership. Who's going to follow that guy or girl? And so if you're walking around saying, they do this to me, they make me feel this, they make me feel that, all you're doing is projecting. You're being a little victim and frankly, a little bitch, and it's okay, but now you need to fix it and start taking responsibility for everything that's happening in your life if you're going to build a successful life and a successful company. So let's recap the 3 shifts. We went from negations to affirmations, soft talk to solid talk, and then projections to reflections. If you want to practice any of these with me, grab a free call in the link below. I'd love to work with you on this. This is something I'm so passionate about for leaders, is to get better at their communication. So here's how to practice. It's easiest when you're writing emails and texting, right? Because there's the delete button. But when you're speaking, you don't have a delete button. So tomorrow, when you're writing that email, when you're sending that text messages to somebody on your team, read it out loud. Because when you read it out loud, you could really hear these things. Take a second and slow down and make sure that you're speaking direct, because then your people will come correct. Number 2, slow down and contemplate for a second. A lot of us are running around. We got this, we got that appointment. We're looking at our phone. We're moving here, we're moving there. And we just become really reactive, bro. That's really straight up the truth. You need to just slow down and breathe and think before you speak. Better yet, contemplate before you speak. Make sure that the words you're choosing get the effective response that you want. And here's a little something else that you should know about. The word abracadabra actually means, with my words, I create. And that is very true. Your words are creating the reality around you. So if your team's not great, your words are creating that environment inside of your business. And now that you're ready to start leading and developing your team, check out this video on how to turn shitty employees into rock stars.